Welcome to Here's How We Get There. It's the daily show filled with conversations about business and mental health in a down-to-earth style with real-world language. Now let's dive in with your co-hosts, Kenneth Shark Kinney and Trey Tucker.
All right, Trey, it's very rare that we would pull together for a story that's this big. This is only important to nerds like you and me who love football, especially SEC football. But Nick Saban has announced his retirement, and it would be hard to argue against anybody being a better coach than him. He is the GOAT in my eyes. 7 national titles, 6 at Alabama, 1 at LSU, 10 wins each year over each of the last 16 seasons. Like Bear Bryant, he was only SEC coach to win SEC titles at 2 schools. He's had 44 first-round picks in the NFL draft, 11 SEC championships out of 17 seasons, 4 Heisman winners. Alabama was a 6-1 pick for next year's CFP championship, third best behind Georgia and Ohio State. It automatically they already moved it to 8-1 after announcing retirement. You know, he's a coach that coached one of the greatest players of all time in my eyes, Tua, who just was one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time. He adapted to a fast-paced style and really excelled in it. And he taught and mentored so many amazing coaches that have amazing careers. It's very likely that one of these juggernauts at other big schools are going to possibly replace him. But when you look at him, it would be hard to not also really think about what I think is one of his biggest legacies that we don't talk about that much, especially at a school like this, and especially as NIL takes foot. He's actually produced a lot of great kids. I mean, you don't hear a lot of stories that come out of the University of Alabama like you do at a lot of other schools where there are way too many problems. And I think other than just being an amazing coach, just what his legacy will also be the kids that have become young men and have gone on to do such great things in their lives. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, best coach of any sport ever would be my argument. And one of the things that stands out to me from a leadership perspective of him is that he had a clear vision and he was dogged in his pursuit of that vision, and also the consistency about which he went about his business in order to get to that vision. I mean, I've never seen a leader really in any other industry outside of football or inside of football that is so consistent in doing the right things, doing what it takes. And then also, he was a master at casting that vision as a communicator.
Mm-hmm.
He would say things that, the content of what he said wasn't all that new or profound, but the way he was saying it, it was just, he believed it so much, and he didn't need to do the emotional rah-rah stuff. He just spoke it with such conviction and clarity that the team bought into it as well. And you also mentioned just how well he adapted. He adapted to NIL, to the transfers, to the change of the offenses where it went from the huddle to the no huddle, and whatever it took was what he was willing to do. And one thing that I think a lot of people don't even realize is that he actually changed the whole tone with which he interacted with his players. It used to be that his way of interacting with his players was much more harsh and screaming and yelling and kind of shame-based, and that worked for most players. Now it doesn't work for as many players anymore, and he adapted to that too, where he became more patient, almost like more of a grandfatherly figure. He still had the intensity when he needed it, but he was able to adapt to what each player needed, what each assistant coach needed, and then what each team needed in order to fully develop. And I think even he said it. He was the most, at least this team was one of the teams he was the most proud of because of how far they came.
Mm-hmm.
People were writing them off at the beginning of the year, saying Alabama's done, they're going to lose 4 or 5 games. And lo and behold, they get into the playoffs. And it's just unbelievable all the ways he has succeeded and the leadership lessons that come from him.
It's very rare that you see anybody with that much talent as a coach also be considered such a class act.
Yeah.
But if I were in his same shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd go to Jupiter Island. I would enjoy that $17.5 million home that he bought. And I would look at the TV, and every Saturday I'd yell, "Roll Tide."
Thank you for joining Shark and Trey on the Here's How We Get There show. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit here'showwegetthere.com. That's here'showwegetthere.com.